Calling to order the Ukiah Valley Sanitation District regular meeting on Wednesday, December 11th, 2019 at 6 p.m. at the district office. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chelsea, would you like to take roll, please?
Chair McLaren.
Present.
Vice Chair Ritt.
Here.
Director Baca.
Here.
Director Marshall.
Present.
Okay. Item number 2, public expression of non-agendized items. The board welcomes participation in board meetings. Comments shall be limited so that everyone may be heard. This item is limited to matters under the jurisdiction of the board which are not on the posted agenda and items which have not already been considered by the board. Does anyone from the public wish to speak at this time?
Do you want me to comment?
Sanitation Chapter, City Manager for the City of Ukiah. Just wanted to emphasize the continued need for the exchange of information and collaboration related to refinancing efforts. I appreciate the exchange in correspondence that we've had. I appreciate the 2 meetings that administratively the district and the city have participated in. But there is still a lack of information that's being exchanged between fiscal advisors related to preparation of any documents, term sheets and so forth. And really at this point, I believe that we are both operating in the dark. And I want to make it very clear, we have given direction to our fiscal advisors to work and share all information with the sanitation district related to this. And I don't believe that has been reciprocated at this point.
We have done the same thing, Sage.
Well, I'll finish. So we know that documents are being developed right now, that term sheets are being developed. The city has not had the opportunity to see any of those drafts or any iteration of drafts. So it hasn't happened. And so I just want to bring that to your attention because I do believe the board wants that to happen. And
read the letter from Wing C this afternoon.
So again, I'm commenting on what I know as the case now. So I don't believe if we want to get there with refinancing, we need to pick up the pace with regards to the exchange of information. I'm not here to criticize. I'm not here I'm here seeking that collaboration that I think is necessary to get us from point A to point B that I believe both the City Council and this board wants to do. And so I've said the same thing to the City Council and felt that it was worth reiterating at a board level that if we want to make it happen, then we need to have complete transparency amongst our agencies. The operating agreement calls for both of our agencies to do that. And so I do hope that we get there in short order, and I hope that we are on the right track. Thank you.
You have the information as we have it.
I'll run the meeting. Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else from the public wish to make a comment at this time?
I have one.
From the public, this is public expression of non-agendized items.
Yeah,
Public expression.
When you close, I need to make a comment.
So we're not to discuss items that aren't on the agenda. This is
No,
public expression of non-agendized items. Does anyone else from the public have a comment on an item that is in the jurisdiction of the board, which has not already been addressed, which is not on the agenda at this time? Okay, thank you. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 3.
Well, a point of order. I would like to ask that we move agenda item 6 to the top first because the person that's come forward to be on the board, I only asked her 3 days ago and she has a prior commitment and she needs to leave. So I thought if we moved it up, we can ask her questions and then she could leave the meeting. and we could discuss it afterwards, that's all, I maybe could talk about. So-
I think the 3 items will take about 5 minutes. I mean, does anybody else wish to?
There's no problem with it, it's okay.
Okay.
Item number 3 is election of new officers. At this time, I would like to move for Director With to be chair of the board. He's been my vice chair for a year now, and he's been a very active person on this board, and I trust him 100%, and I think he's ready to take over the chairmanship, and I would seek a second to that motion.
I make a second.
Is there any board discussion on this item? Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vice Chair, I'd like to make a motion to elect Director Ken, Director Marshall as Vice Chair. And if that's okay with you, Director Chairman Witt.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Is there any board discussion? Anyone from the public wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of board meeting minutes for November 13th. Are there any corrections to the minutes? While the board's looking this over, is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item? No, see none, thank you.
I'd like to announce about the chairman doesn't take place until the first.
Yeah, I was told January, next meeting.
Just announced it.
Yeah, I know, so the chairman and the new vice chair and the new chair will take over beginning January 1st. Is that correct, Doug? Is it January 1st or is it the first meeting?
The first meeting in January.
Okay.
Actually, let me.
Yeah, you can double check that. I bet it's January 1st.
Okay.
Okay. And at that time, we'll let the new, that's when the new chair and vice chair will appoint the committees. Okay?
Good.
Thank you. All right.
I'm going to accept the minutes.
Thank you.
I second.
If I may quickly just read what the district policy is, district policy 5010. It simply states, at this meeting, the board will elect the board chair and the board vice chair who will be seated at the next regular meeting in January.
Okay.
The outgoing board shall serve until the newly elected board chair is seated.
Okay. So there has been a motion by Director Whiff to approve the minutes and a second by Director Bockham. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Consent calendar. Does anyone wish to pull an item from the consent calendar?
I'd like to make a comment. We didn't receive the reports from the city for October 2019 until super last minute today. However, I want to make a recommendation to the board that we remove these from the packet just because their way that they are sending us the reports are now like their Munis reports and they're like 60 pages. So our board packets would become very lengthy. So what my recommendation would be is that I can forward the monthly city reports to board members and make them available to the public. If anyone was interested to come in, I can print out anything for anybody at any time as they request. They're very lengthy and I don't see the need to print out that many reports for the packets.
Save a tree.
Yeah, seriously.
Does our contract with the city require them, Doug, to be in any format at all, or, Doug? No, they can just.
Not that I'm aware of. Whatever system they're using,
Okay. And it's just the
I can
expenditures,
look
our
into it.
expenditures for the month?
yes,
Okay.
I'll look at that issue.
And I believe we're still waiting for Jeff Peak to provide monthly statements, which will include the cities in a format that I think would be more readily available for the district to look at.
Okay.
So, then we're waiting, that could happen next month, so I'm hoping that we'll just
Mhm.
roll over to the new format. from
Okay.
Jeff.
Okay. One other item regarding consent calendar is that all of our attorney bills have been going through the Duncan James office. Because of the lawsuit, they had to go that way. But now because the lawsuit's over, they won't be going through that office anymore. We have contracts with UC and contracts with Annette and contracts with, everyone working on the bonds. And so we'll be paying those directly from now on. So those attorney bills aren't just going to say Duncan James unless it's something specifically Duncan James worked on. They'll be itemized by attorney from now on, or by corporation that we've hired. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 6 is appointment of new director. We have one application, but I heard it's a pretty good one.
Yep.
Okay. So, we'll have board discussion, then I'll open it up to public comment, and then maybe we can have Ms. Horsley address the board if she wishes. Does that sound okay? Does anyone, any of the board members have any discussion or comment at this time?
Well, I think Candace would be a benefit to our board. She's on several other boards that I've talked to people on those boards, and she's a diligent part of it. So she's putting in the work and making the informed decisions. I think she'll do a good job.
Anyone else? My comment is just seeing that she's been a city manager, working in finance, she's on different boards. Looks like she knows about bonds and fiscal stability and solving billing issues. This will be quite an asset to our board. So this time, if the board doesn't have any more comments, I'm going to invite her to address the board. Is that okay? Would you like to?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate your comments very much, thank you. And I'll tell you when Julie came to me, I thought about it, and really I thought I would love to assist as much as possible and help as much as possible in any way I can. Having worked with the budgets at the city level, having worked with Sand District budgets, and of course back then it was a council member, a supervisor, and a public member. It wasn't the district as you have it now. But I did make presentations, I did work with them, the finance director and I worked with them, and we had meetings together. And of course I helped with those budgets. So at least the way it was 10 years ago, I understood them very well, and I'm hoping that I can help. Things probably have changed, but probably not that drastically. So I'm hoping that I can assist and help, and for this next year, do anything I can, and will be dedicated to it and to the Sand District, and that is my promise and commitment. So. Yes.
And you understand it's 2-year term at this point.
2-year term, okay.
Okay. Our previous director stepped out just a little before her 2 years was up, so.
Okay.
It's December, January.
Actually, right now, it was
It's
2 years.
Yeah, so it's 2 years this month.
Remember, we have a 5-year coming.
We have 4. And it's been 2.
You each have 4.
But we changed it to make it,
That was
the
only
general
for-
election.
That was only for 2 of us, I believe. The
Oh, I
other
thought-
3 were already in line.
We changed it to make it all the same
Yeah,
time,
I thought it was
to
us.
save money on the election.
Yes, I thought it was us, not them. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Any questions?
Yeah, any questions? I'd be glad to answer anything.
Yeah.
Grateful that you came forward.
Unfortunately, you can't stay tonight because you have a practice.
Yeah, I
Yes,
have
okay.
6 people at my house.
Yeah.
And they just arrived about 2 hours ago, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's
All
okay.
right.
And I'd like to nominate Candace for
I second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Oh, public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item? That's all right, we have a motion and a second. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item? No, seeing none, I'll close public comment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? None? So Candace, just, yes.
Yeah. She can contact Chelsea tomorrow to be sworn in. or
Does she do that down at the
She
county
can
She
do
office?
can do it in the office,
she
but I
can
need
do
your
it here.
signature.
Or she can do it at the county, either way.
Recorder's office.
That's the recorder's office or Chelsea's.
Are you here, Chelsea? This is-
Yeah, so we're in the hallway in Willow, down to the left, and our office is open from 8 to 9, so you can call me whenever in the morning you can come down.
No, we're off that way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go take care of those 6 people. I'm sure it's dinner time for them. Okay. Item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding amending policy 5010, annual organizational meeting, board by Director Baca. So Director Baca, you have the floor.
So I just wanted to change the Board of Directors hold its annual meeting, it's in yellow, to the board will rotate a board chair and vice chair instead of vote a board chair and vice chair, and will be seated at the next regular meeting. And the board chair will serve for 1 year, and vice chair will rotate into the chair unless they decline a seat. And so I thought many boards do this, and I think that would be a more efficient way to,
Didn't we vote on that the last meeting?
we didn't vote on it, no, we discussed it.
No action was taken.
No
Is there
action
a
was
motion to adopt this new policy?
I think we ought to change this policy if we're going to do that, to have it in the right place. You know, our meeting, Greg said our regular meetings are on Brush Street. So we probably want to move that to here.
Yeah.
Wait, where does it say that?
On the
The
very
first page,
paragraph.
I didn't even see that.
I'd like to have time to read this further so that I'm not, I didn't get a chance to read this, I was reading a lot of other stuff in the last 2 days, so.
Well, I think the main change in it is that we don't elect a chair and a vice chair. She would like the position to rotate.
And it'd be a 1-year term.
But I'd like to read the rest of it to make sure that
Okay,
I don't
so-
have, if that's cool, if we can go on, we've already taken care of that issue for another year. So if we move it down the road for another month, it's not gonna hurt anybody's feelings, is it?
Nope.
Okay,
So next
So
month.
it's,
We'll put that on the table.
yeah.
does anyone from the public wish to comment on this item? No, seeing none, we'll table it to the next meeting. Item number 8, discussion and possible action regarding LAFCO Municipal Service Review, MSR, and the SOI Sphere of Influence update. Dave?
Thank you. So the Minnesota County Agency Formation Commission, as we know as LAFCO, is scheduled to perform a municipal service review of the sphere of influence for our district. We will be working with them over the next several months. This will take numerous months for completion. Probably going to have this coming summer. So staff will be working with LAFCO on that and providing them with the information and questionnaires that will need to fill out, maps and things to update their records. I'll be reporting more throughout the next several months as we go through this process.
So you look like you have something to say.
Not at this point. Thank you.
Yes, Director.
So do we have a date when they're expecting to make a decision on this? Is there ETA on the completion of this?
No, not that I have seen in their correspondence. All I've received so far is their letter, and I haven't been, they were going to contact staff, which they haven't yet. So those details will be.
Do 6 months, year? 2 months? Any ideas?
May I help answer this?
Yeah.
I sat on LAFCO for 4 years, and the staff did a lot of these.
Mhm.
And really, the length of it depends on the complexity of the district. I think ours is complex, and it will take longer. Small districts, which, don't really care if they're the cemetery district or something, their sphere of influence with MSR, it's not as vital to their operations and their revenues and things like that as ours is. So I imagine this will take a while. We do have the opportunity to participate in this. We do have an opportunity to have experts help us with this, because the sphere of influence, let's say what they could actually do, and what I've seen them do before in a water district was shrink the sphere of influence to where they were actually providing service outside of their sphere of influence. And it was almost a first step in something else that they wanted to accomplish, LAFCO. And so it's quite important.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Very much
very
so.
important, and we need to be highly involved with this and really keep an eye on it, so.
And I'm sure it's very complex.
And in our case, I believe, yes.
Now I have a question. Will we be allowed to petition for, I have a, Ford Road has a sewer main that runs down, yet it's not in the district, it's not in the city, and, that property's developing, and it really should be served by sewer.
Right.
It has really bad perk on the west end of it. It's,
Right. This is
and
when, exactly,
so we can propose
right,
additions
exactly.
at that time.
And we've been contacted by the people who own that land, that want to hook up to the sewer. And I said, either we need to wait for this, and I asked LAFCO to bump us up on this to get it addressed quicker, right? Or B, have a service contract with them. So this is important because it addresses that specifically. Okay. Does anyone from the public wish to comment on this item? Okay. Oh, yes. I didn't see you get up.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Craig Slaughter. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Ukiah. I recognize a couple faces here, but I think this is probably the first time you've actually seen my face. I started at the city about 2.5 years ago as a Director of Community Development and then Planning, but we dropped off the planning piece and the title, but we still have that functionality, of course, in the department. I wanted to come tonight really and introduce myself because I saw this item on the agenda. You're undergoing your work plan with LAFCO to update your MSR and SOI. The city is actually preparing to update its MSR and SOI in the 2020-21 work plan, but as was mentioned by one of your board members, these documents are very complex, and so we're already starting to think about our plans and how we're going to update those plans. I wanted to introduce myself also, just to let you know, as we work through these issues, if there's any potential for overlapping spheres, for example, my door is always open, and I'd be happy to talk to the board and be happy to come and speak to the board directly or speak with individual members of the board at any time. Very accessible via email. Feel free to set up an appointment with me or stop by office, or we can just meet in person. So just wanted to introduce myself. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else from the public wish to make a comment at this time? See none. Dave, next item, are we done with that one?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding proposed agenda and joint meeting with the city council brought forward by Director Bachman.
So I have a proposed, it's right after the LAFCO letter. It's not titled or anything, but there's a proposed agenda for a joint meeting.
I don't have it.
It's
Yeah.
right on there.
It's not
Looks like this.
labeled, it's just kind of all like so. It's
Single
right,
page,
yeah.
right after LAFCO.
I think it's really important that that we meet with the city with everything that's going on, we meet with the city council. And I have proposed agenda topics would be just to discuss and possible action of the bond refinance, just try to clarify everything that we're doing and more transparency so that everyone's on the same page and we can answer their concerns with everybody there. And it's no confusion and put our best foot forward. The county jail and sewer connection, just discussion only about, see what their, what they think of, you know, what their reasoning is, why they think of, they should get the revenue for that, and why, just talk about it. And then to talk about an amendment in the operating agreement so that we have joint meetings twice a year, so that we can get together and talk about our differences in January and July, both important, the beginning of the year and the end of the fiscal year, important times of the year. And I think to promote transparency and cooperation, I think it's better that we meet as boards, total boards, and not leave it all up to staff, communication, or attorneys, that we meet in person. So I developed this with Mo, the outgoing mayor. She just switched seats, but she and I got together and we came up with proposed dates, January 7th, 8th, or 9th, 2020 at 6 p.m. If we were to pick a date, then the city council is going to meet again and they would have to, we would tell them, I would transmit that we had picked a date and then they would have to talk about it and put it on their agenda.
Director Marshall?
I think this was left over from last
Okay.
moment, yeah.
I have a couple concerns about this. One is the county jail sewer connection. It was in our operating agreement that we settle this, our new agreement that we settle this issue. And because we cannot come to a settlement on this issue, it does have to go to arbitration to get settled. So that's pending, that's considered pending litigation. And I really wouldn't, you're not really supposed to discuss that in public. We've given them every single piece of information we have on the county jail sewer connection and why we believe it's our account. So I'm not sure what good it does to sit and argue about it.
Because we never heard their side of the story.
Yeah, we have.
We have heard their side of the story.
They've responded numerous times.
Yes, Doug?
And I just want to confirm with you that that is pending litigation issue and should not be an open session items and not appropriate to be on a joint meeting with the city at this point.
Okay.
As you stated, Sheriff, you're correct.
Now,
Okay, so,
I have to defer to Sage or Sean, who were at the meeting yesterday that I was at, that there was a meeting proposed on what date, Sage? I was pretty rummy yesterday afternoon, sorry.
No, do you want me to come up or do you want me to speak?
No, I'll let right there.
Okay. Yeah, we're working on the rate study. We are working from yesterday's meeting to coordinate a joint meeting for the presentation of the rate study and consideration of the rates. And I believe that we believe that is lined up for the last week in January. I think we were shooting for or trying to target the 29th, which is the fifth Wednesday of the month.
That's what I thought. Okay, and then I would take it to the bond refinance. I believe that we will have all of our refinancing in order by that time.
yeah.
Does the city believe that? I mean,
To me, it has to be
Yeah.
in place because of the call periods related to that. It really goes beyond that, and I don't recall all those dates off the top of my head. But if we're if there's going to be a true discussion about how we do it, and move forward, then that discussion needs to happen as early as
Before
possible.
January 29th.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
that would have to happen before.
Yeah.
In fact, we're behind the 8 ball right now, even if we were to schedule one, next week, even into January, maybe,
Well, that's why.
maybe relatively too late.
So I feel like we're both entities want to save our ratepayers money by refinancing these bonds. And I believe we're both on the same page there. And however we can get there, we should get there as quick as we can, and we shouldn't hold it up to hold a joint meeting. I mean, we both have perfectly capable staff to move this forward.
I didn't say hold it up. I think that we're just going forward and then we meet together to exchange information.
But what information do you have? I mean,
What-
I
when
don't
city-
understand what one board member to one board member. We govern, and our staff and the experts we hire work out the details, and we get those emails and we get those communications, so we know what's going on.
I think it's important to have both boards present and hearing everything at the same time, and if Sage has a concern, then everybody hears it, and then our experts address Sage's
So you want to
concern.
bring our experts to this meeting?
Either phone consultation, yeah, they would be
Yes.
available by phone.
I just want to let you know, they have those interactive meetings right now between our experts and the city's experts. They're going on back and forth, so.
That was kind of my understanding as well.
It's happening as we speak, so I'm not sure.
Well, both the boards never hear everything at the same time. I mean, I'm hearing things I've never heard. I want everybody to be together. It's very important that everybody hears it, and then when the city has a concern, we can address it and everyone can hear it, because I've read all Sage's letters and I think we can address all of his concerns. But if it's out in the open, then it's really.
You and I don't address those concerns at a meeting. Our expert shoots him an email the same day or gives him a phone call the same day to
Yeah,
address
but
that
all of
concern.
us are hearing that at the same time.
But Julie, we don't have the expertise to
I'm
respond to that.
not saying that we respond.
We don't have the
We have
expertise.
them on the phone, we have them available.
But we can read the emails just as easily.
I disagree. We need to be together. It's for cooperation and transparency. We should meet twice a year.
Okay, that's completely
That's
separate.
good.
Let's keep that separate. Right now, we've checked off no jail. Now we're
Yeah.
talking about the bond.
Yeah.
We want to move forward as soon as possible. I don't see a benefit in having a joint meeting to rehash everything.
And I see
think
a
our staff
benefit.
is-
I
okay.
see a benefit, so we just
So,
disagree on that.
Is there a motion to have a joint meeting specifically regarding the bond refinance?
Can we open it to public
We
comment?
can have a motion first and then open it to public comment. Is there a motion for that?
Yeah, well,
Is-
there's two. There's
Okay,
two
let's
at the
address the
top.
first one first. Is there a motion? We'll put it
Yes.
into two motions. Is there a second to this motion? There's no second, so the motion dies. Does anyone from the public wish to comment on this item?
I do think that there is value to the board's meeting with regards to the refinancing. There are policy decisions that both the city council and the district from a legislative level should be making. Whether or not they're independent refinancing, whether or not it's public placement, whether it's private. These are all fundamental things that should not be left administratively to determine the best course of action. It's our job from the administrative side to bring forward all options for the legislative bodies to consider. At this point, it appears that the district is going down the line of a private placement, and those are the documents that are being drawn up. And I did to speak to Director Whiff's thing. The email that we got today from Wing C is that we'll share when they're ready, and that's too late. You know, that's suggesting that there's already a course of action that is defined in place, and this is what we're doing. I'll read the whole email. It says, thanks, Eric, we'll share when they're ready. I know Jenna is working on the documents and we'll be working on the term sheet, hoping to get out the credit package next week and collect bids on January 13th. That suggests that the course of action that this board has laid out is already in motion and in place. And that may be the case. I haven't heard that. I haven't seen that at a board meeting, that's what the direction was given. But it's the city is now left operating in the dark related to what the district is actually doing and what those documents are in development. And we could both benefit to getting from point A to point B, which is a successful refinancing, which we know from the rate studies. The quicker we do that and getting it in place in 2000 and next year will save significant money for both district and city ratepayers. And so, operating in our own silos on this issue is only going to lead to more conflict, and could potentially jeopardize the ability to get from point A to point B. So I really think it's in all of our best interest that we work through these issues as quickly and as expeditiously as possible, and these issues are really issues that require policy direction from our legislative bodies. Thank you.
Let's say, I have an example. If you walk into the bank and add 3 years of tax returns, say I need a loan, they're not going to give you an answer right then. They're going to do a spread on your financial condition and analyze you and figure out what your debt coverage ratio is and go through the whole Marianne before they give you an answer. So what Wing C is doing is that she has our 3 years of financials, and she's going to the prospective lenders and getting the best quote. So I don't know how we can be more transparent than that, because she doesn't have the information until they return it. She has to submit it to them, they gotta give it back. That's where we are right now, she's submitting it to them.
2 points on that is that you have to develop term sheets, and those term sheets, if we're doing separate refinancing, right, you're definitely going to want the city's term sheet and the district's term sheet not to contain conflicting information. And there's a lot of potential for conflicting information here with it. First, next point to that is that you could, if we're exploring a private placement, which we're not opposed to exploring a private placement offering, it's you also have to compare it though to the potential and what you know about a public
That was a
effort.
presentation at our last meeting.
I understand that. We saw that information, the spread on the interest rates that were there. We've tried to gain information about where those interest rate spreads came from, because it's highly suspect. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but we'd like to see the background related to how a private placement has potentially better interest rates than a public placement side of it.
Okay.
And
your time is up now, please.
I was answering a question, but
I think you've long answered that question.
Talk to Wing C Sage, and I can explain how there is a differential, because that has a tax benefit. It doesn't have a tax benefit to a public agency, it does have to a private placement.
totally, and we're not saying
That's a good explanation.
we're not saying not to explore that, but we need to be doing it together.
This
That's
is
not what's happening at the
public
moment.
comment. This is not a two-way engagement conversation.
Okay,
Thank you.
Again, that's why we need a joint meeting to talk bond refinance and then a proposed
So there
amendment to the operating agreement.
was a motion and no second to hold a joint meeting regarding bond refinance. Is there a motion to hold a joint meeting biannually for the purpose of discussing what?
No, what I have on here is just a proposed agenda at the joint meeting. What we're voting on is a joint meeting in January. These were the agenda topics that I wanted to propose. So the middle one
Okay.
is
So
in litigation.
please make a motion.
Well, I make a motion that we pick a date for a joint meeting in early January with the city council.
And what would be the topic of discussion?
I wanted two topics, the bond refinance and then a proposed amendment to the operating agreement for biannual joint meetings, to change the operating agreement so that we automatically have joint meetings twice a year. Those were the three agenda items. You've taken off the second one. We could add, if we could add additional agenda items.
Doug, did you have a comment?
The proposal is a joint meeting for these three topic items. That's what needs to be, a
Right.
motion needs to be made on, will the board agree to those three, to a joint meeting on these three topics or not? Simply, you can't add another agenda item at this point. I mean, this is the way it's been set up, the way the motion or the agenda item's been set up. It's an agenda item for a joint meeting for, let me finish please, a joint meeting for one of these three dates and these three topic items. So that's what the motion needs to say, and then the board needs to vote up or down on all three of them
As
have a
one.
packet.
Wait a minute, she's already made a move, she's already moved to strike number 2 because it's under litigation. So that one is gone. They already.
Okay, Julie, you
I'm
I'm not arguing with you, I'm telling you my legal opinion, which is what the item before the board at this point is whether or not there's gonna be a joint meeting, whether the district is going to propose a meeting with the city council
Yes.
on January 7th, 8th, or 9th on these three topics. That is the proposal. That is what has been put forward by this agenda item. That's it.
Director Bachman, you were very specific on this agenda item, and you didn't leave us much room. You went and met with the city and put this together.
I didn't meet with the
us.
city, I met with
The mayor of the
Maureen.
city?
I met with Maureen.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
well, when you meet with the mayor of the city, that's
She's no longer.
kind of was she the mayor at the time?
No,
No, she wasn't. So when you go and meet with a city council member and make an agenda for a proposed meeting without consulting with our staff or
I did
whether.
consult with our staff, with Dave Redding, I did consult
Did
with
you
him.
ask this board for, if
I
we wanted you to
forward
do that?
the board.
Okay.
I-
Is there a motion to have a joint meeting on one of the proposed dates, the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th, to discuss the topics that Director Bachman listed?
I make a motion that we have a joint meeting with the city and pick one of those dates.
Is there a second? Seeing
Well,
none.
Doug just told us we
Anything
can't
else? Next
do
item,
it
please.
individually.
Why don't you bring it back for the amendment to the operating agreement?
Can you clarify that, Teresa?
I just asked that she bring it back to the board on just item number 3 to possibly amend our operating agreement so that it calls for biannual joint meetings. And maybe let the board have input on development of the agenda for that meeting instead of listing it out so that we'd have a little more flexibility there.
I would think
Okay.
that if we have joint meetings, it would be much more beneficial to have them maybe in May and November, so that if there's any differences, they're all worked out before the end of the fiscal year, because July is when our budgets are approved, and it would take time to work anything out. It might be more beneficial.
Well, that can be discussed
Those
in the
dates.
meeting, but right now, we just want a joint meeting in January, and then we could discuss when, if we leave
Okay,
it open, then we
next
can
item on the
discuss
agenda.
when the dates would be. That would be a point to bring up.
Announcements, other business matters from staff, item number 10. All right, General Manager Redding, do you have anything for item number A?
Yes, thank you. So I want to follow up on last month's report regarding Pete's Power Wash. We've been working with the city. I appreciate the opportunity, the information that they've been provided. We've double checked. We found no inconsistencies, no errors in the city's calculations for the Pete's Power Wash. It's based on usage. His usage has gone up this year compared to last year. And based upon our current rates, which are very similar to the city's, that's the, I guess, the dilemma, I suppose, because there is an increase in what he's being charged last year. So unless the district were to change his rates or his water usage went down for the 3 winter months, staff doesn't have any rationale on how his rates would be lowered at this time. He has also, Pete has brought up the question about, apparently there's been studies done, a percentage of the water stays on the cars when they leave. I checked with the city, they don't use that as part of the calculation. I also checked with Sonoma County Water Agency, and they don't use that as a part of the calculation, is how much water stays on the car. I think that would be rather difficult to develop that. I personally wouldn't want to try to do that, especially if the city's not doing it as well. I think it's a good idea to try to be the same inside the city as outside in the way we're doing our calculations. So I, at this point, have no recommendations to the board on.
What about metering outflow? Would that be a recommendation? I mean, of course, at the expense of the, yeah.
$3 a meter.
I don't know.
No? Do that? Okay. All right. Anything else?
He also questioned our strength using the moderate, the factor, medium strength, and that's consistent with the city's car washes that they have within the city limits. Doing some checking, yes, it goes into an interceptor. There is some grit chamber and some pre-treatment, but in the industry, I think it's appropriate to consider it a moderate strength. So I don't have any recommendations or justification in recommending to recalculate it at a lower strength or different strength level. So it's unfortunately not good news for Pete, and I wish I could provide some suggestions to this board for consideration to be able to justify changing that, but I just don't at this time.
Did you want to comment on this item? Pete?
Yeah,
You can
looks like
say
the only thing I can do is to recycle. And by recycling, we all lose. So,
Yeah,
it's the only thing I can,
I know. Every time I pay that 10 cents on that bottle, I lose that 10 cents.
yeah, there's no CRV.
That's right. It's just a tax, isn't it, Pete?
Yeah.
It is.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
Pete.
sorry.
The other item I have is brief report on the rate study. We had a joint meeting with the city's staff yesterday. I think it was very productive. This is a handout that was prepared by the consultant, and there needs to be copies of the public. We can make copies. I just got it. Yeah, is there a request for copies from the audience? Okay.
It's all city
It's
people here.
available. The city certainly were there. So Mark Hildebrand, I think, is doing a good job, actually a great job. The information is very complete, and I look forward to talk about it next month. But there is a schedule. Some of it's been kind of addressed earlier, but I'll go over it quickly with you guys. So we're getting close, the consultant's getting close to wrapping this up. So this is the schedule for the next few months, as the consultant is winding this up. So January 10th is set up for an administrative draft report to be distributed to the city and district for review. January 17th would be deadline for receiving comments from both the city and the district. January 22nd would be submit draft reports for inclusion in board and council's packet. January 29th, joint board council meeting to present request and ask for permission to send the Prop 218 notice. That's the joint meeting that was discussed earlier with Sage here, between the city and the district. And then if everything goes off correctly or smoothly, the target would be to have the new rates effective by July 1st.
So operating budget, district salaries and benefits, $1.2 million.
Yes.
Is that just the city's salaries and benefits that we paid for, so therefore they're in the district column? It's on page 7.
That's all the allocations for salaries and benefits.
On all the
On that,
city employees that we pay.
Thank you. I believe that's correct.
Same
And then
with, same thing
I
for
was-
professional services,
I
same
asked
thing
what the
for.
professional services were because I didn't think that, you know, hopefully we get all this resolved and we don't have a lot of professional services like we have sitting here at the table. And I was kind of wondering now what those were, you know. I could understand the allocations to the sewer district from all the different people that have participation in the project, but I didn't know what the,
It's just odd that the district is paying more than the city in salary and benefits. The district is paying more in professional services than the city. The district is paying more in operating supplies than the city.
because it's
We're
split
paying
on the,
more than in utilities and chemicals.
it's split on the 55-45.
Percentage.
Administrative 249 versus 122. The district being 249.
Well, we went
I
through this
mean,
pretty quick yesterday, Teresa. I
this-
didn't really cross line it, but
And then, I don't know.
So
I would,
it's
that doesn't seem right to me at all.
yeah, it does seem a little skewed.
51 district percent.
It seems
and
very
city
skewed,
49.
especially after I've seen the city's budget.
Thank you.
Well, we'll have to get the explanation on those.
Yeah. My suggestion is put it on the agenda for next January
Okay.
meeting, and have a full discussion on this item.
All right, can we please have it on
But
the
they're-
agenda?
They're hammered down on getting the rate study done.
Right.
Let's get Hildebrand on the phone so we can ask some questions regarding this during our meeting. I mean, we're paying him how much money to do this? That we should be able to have a discussion with them and ask them some questions.
And you can
You
have
know,
a special meeting at any time before, because like you said, you're on a schedule, so if you need a special meeting, you can have a
Yeah,
special
and
meeting.
maybe you can ask, after reviewing this, Dave, put some questions together.
What was it? This?
There's the rates.
Okay.
It's already on the agenda for discussion.
Oh, wait, sorry.
So that's all I have.
Okay. So, yeah, I have lots of questions as I look over this, so if we can throw it on the next agenda so we can ask them and
You
talk about it.
see HCF,
Yeah.
that's 100 cubic feet
I know,
for
but
the water usage.
is that a proposed rate? That's not what it currently is. Because right now we have a different base charge than the city.
Well, they propose, the district now gives the customers, I believe it's 3.4 HCFs of water usage in the base rate. They're proposing to eliminate that and make it where both the city doesn't do that. So both the city and the district, it's a rate, then it's per 100 cubic feet of water usage in addition to the rate. So it's gonna have an effect of raising the individual that doesn't use much water by anywhere from $7 to $15 a month, you know?
Yeah, I don't get it, because when I looked at the forecasts of budgets, ours was pretty, no big projects. The city had millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of projects, so I don't see
But they
how
didn't-
their rates are lower than ours.
If you go any air further, they didn't put those large projects to the district. That's separated out as city projects.
Yeah, but, so it would affect their rates. Why hasn't it?
Well,
Why would their rate be lower by $4? That doesn't make any sense. If they have $15 million worth of projects and we have zero, that doesn't
they
make any
didn't
sense.
propose that, they proposed, I think, I don't know what's in here.
All right, so let's put this on the agenda for next time, because this doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, you can't absorb it all today.
Nope. All right. Staff reports?
Not at this time.
Any director's reports? Any letters received or sent we should know about?
Attached.
Next regular meeting is January 8th, 2019, and we are now going into closed session at 6:58. We'll take a short break and then go into closed session. Okay, the time is 8:25. We are back in open session, and we're reporting that we gave direction to staff. We are now adjourned.
No.
No?
We're gonna do the John Sharp, make a motion to
Oh.
retain his services regarding the LAFCO, MSR and
We-
the LAFCO issues.
We are not adjourned. Can we do that if it's not?
Well, it's on the agenda,
It is on the agenda.
and so.
What's the motion?
So we need to retain John Sharp, who is our
Staff
LAFCO
Attorney.
expert attorney, to assist with the SOI MSR that is being done by LAFCO with our assistance.
I need a motion?
I need a motion.
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
What's his last name? John?
Sharp.
Sharp.
Sharp,
Sharp.
like a pencil. Okay.
Not short, sharp, short.
Is
Okay.
it all?
Thank you, you guys.
All
Good
right,
evening.
the time
Merry
is,
Christmas and
Next meeting?
no,
Merry-
tomorrow night.
Merry
Tomorrow
Christmas.
night.
See you tomorrow
I
night.
will
The
be
time is
there.
8:26 and we are adjourned.